Hello, and thank you for tuning in to the Flatirons Syndicate Motorsports Podcast. This show is brought to you by Flatirons Tuning, your source for any aftermarket or OEM Subaru parts. Be sure to check out our store at flatirons.com and stay tuned with Flatirons Tuning. Well, welcome back to the Flatirons Syndicate Podcast. Tasso and Viet are in the shop. We're actually about to embark on an adventure, an adventure, an excursion.
Just a nice day.
Yeah.
We're going to go for a drive.
We're going to go for a drive. We're going to go for a drive. We're going to enjoy the nice thing, go for a drive. The thing is that we're going to be taking this Solterra.
Sweet.
The electric Subaru. Yeah. So the question, and Tasso, you and I were talking about this yesterday. What we want to find out is, will the Solterra Subaru? Like, is it really a Subaru? What will it be like? And you have brought along your brand new Subaru Forester.
Mm-hmm.
So we're basically going to be kind of benchmarking the Forester against the Solterra and taking it up into the hills, and we're going to see what those two are like.
Yeah.
Are they similar? How dissimilar are they? What is the EV thing all about? What is this? Let's experience range anxiety in mountains. Let's just take it all in.
Yeah. It's because we do so much motorsport stuff. I think we forget that, like, the heart and soul of Subaru is like the late '90s white Outback.
Well, it's like the Forester and the Outback. That is Subaru's bread and butter. That is what they sell more of than anything else by a long, long way. Mm-hmm. Because, like, most people, when they think of Subarus, that's probably what they think of, is the Subaru or the Forester and the Outback.
Yep.
That kind of a vehicle, a sedan or a wagon. That
affordable, sensible, reliable.
That you can do whatever you want to do with it.
Yeah, good in the snow, still quick in the hills.
Not all-wheel drive.
What's that?
Not all-wheel drive.
Yeah, all-wheel drive.
Okay, we didn't have it on the list.
Oh yeah, symmetrical all-wheel drive.
Symmetrical all-wheel drive.
Road hugging, independent suspension.
Right. Right.
Yeah. So lately we're in the Boulder area in Colorado. The team car here for a long time has been that late '90s Outback.
Oh yeah.
In white with like the little champagne colored, highlights and stuff like that, and whatever. And people drive those things until they literally rust through, and then they sell them for $10,000, and go get another one.
Yep.
But lately, especially, a lot of that has kind of switched over to like the 4Runners and the Broncos and
that's kind of like
Tacomas and so it's getting kind of inundated by these trucks that are on 35s with lockers and stuff like that, and still people for the most part are driving them to their job Monday to Friday, and then hopping in with their family or spouse or whoever and friends and just going up to explore the high country a little bit on the weekends.
And that's the question, is like, okay, if you have a Solterra, can you do those similar kind of things with it? And we just that's the example that we have because that's what Subaru has on offer. Mm-hmm. So that's what we're going to explore. I mean, the range thing is an interesting one in that the Solterra doesn't have a big battery, like big, relatively speaking, but like its max range is like 200 and right now I charged it up this morning. It was the first time I drove it, was driving into the charger and then back, pulled it off the charger, and I think it said 224 miles range. So like that's
on max charge.
On max charge, that's what it's got.
So we'll see. The route I have planned, this is something that I scouted and even posted up like a little teaser pic on my Instagram last week.
Yeah.
The route I have planned is probably just under 100 miles door to door from Flatirons Tuning.
Okay.
So we'll see, because we're also going to gain 6,000 feet in elevation from the 5,300 that we're at right here, roughly, more or less, right? So a lot of climbing to be done this morning. Some of it at highway speed, some of it at crawling speed. Mm-hmm. Dirt roads, rocks. 100-year-old, historical sites and mines and old cemeteries and old towns and
we're going great, Rob.
All the we're gonna go look at old stuff and look at pretty stuff, which is the national pastime of Colorado. So
which is like if you're here, you got a Subaru and it's a weekend. That's probably one of the things on the top of your list that you'd probably want to do.
Yeah. For comparison, our 2023 Forester Sport, which we got from Flatirons, has just less than 5,000 miles on it now. It's already been on 2 road trips to like the Black Hills and the Uray area, and we've gone, off-roading up similar kind of places. Obviously we did the scouting for this trip. We've been around like the west side of Rollins Pass, like outside of Winter Park, to go hiking up there, and and the glacial lakes and stuff like that. So this is pretty. I mean, this would be like a normal kind of like weekend warrior type trip, or something like that you would do with your family. It's just that we're gonna do it in an EV.
So let's see what that's all about.
Yeah, so maybe if you were thinking like, hey, I want to do all these things, but I also kind of want to be, energy conscious or something like that, because whatever the arguments about whatever are about battery sourcing and blah blah blah, environment and stuff like that, mile for mile, it's cheaper to charge an EV and drive that mile than it is to put gas in.
Well, and so this is the first time I've driven an EV. I've ridden in a Tesla Model 3. I've not driven a Tesla Model 3. This is today, drive literally to the charger and back. That's the first time I've driven an EV. So I've got in, I don't know, an eighth of a mile so far. It is definitely different. And that's kind of one of the things that I want to explore too. Is like that they're different. The function of them is different. Just because it's an electric motor, how the power delivery feels, what kind of the controls feel like is different. And so that's kind of one of my biggest questions, is because as many electric platforms as there are, there's a lot of sharing of platforms right now. Like, I mean, the Solterra, it's also a Toyota, whatever it is, BZ4X or
number.
So it's like Toyota basically designed most of the car. Subaru, I believe, did programmed the function of the all-wheel drive system. It does have X-Drive, so it does have a kind of like an off-road mode. What does that do? Because like Subarus, even to this day, are known for like, it's a sedan, it's a wagon, but it's got the Subaru all-wheel drive system that really does work. If you get on YouTube right now and you search for any kind of reviews for current Subarus like the Outback or the Forester, there's a lot of guys that are taking these things up dirt hills and stuff, and they will outperform a lot of more SUV things, because there's a lot of SUVs out there right now that are basically just large cars. That do not have the drivetrain, the differentials, any of the functionality that like a more capable SUV would have.
Right.
But the Subarus, with their all-wheel drive, symmetrical all-wheel drive, like there really is a functionality benefit to it.
Right.
And so like you can see the Subarus doing all these things, like where they're going up really steep dirt hills, whereas like a lot of these SUVs get stuck, and like the Subaru just trucks right along and it does it. Will the Solterra do something like that?
I'm curious, and I don't know what its like motor orientation layout is, and what, like, I'm guessing it's got a front and a back motor.
It does, it's two motors, one front, one rear.
So it's worth saying here too, none of these cars are going to beat the hardcore off-road market, right? If these aren't a Rubicon edition, don't take your Solterra up the Rubicon. Although if you do, it probably could get there. Bring some toe straps.
A lot of solar panels.
Oh, some skid plates maybe.
Another Solterra.
So there is a hardcore. I mean, I come from my initial kind of entry to cars and that world and stuff was like a lot of 4-wheel drive, and I still have my old Land Cruiser and stuff like that. So there is a point in the world where like solid front axle, a true transfer case, true lockers, really big tires are going to make a difference, right? But that's not what most people go off roading like.
Exactly. Most people, like especially around here. So we're in Colorado. We're right up against the foothills. There's a lot of hiking, mountain biking trails. Like literally, I can see the foothills out our window here. There's a lot of trails you can get to very easily from the front range. And a lot of the people use Subarus is you can throw your bikes, your gear in the back. You can drive to the trailhead, which is a lot of times on a dirt road. Sometimes those dirt roads get a little bit, cobbled up, beat up. You need to have a little bit of ground clearance, a little bit of capability, and then you can get where you're going to do your hike, your mountain bike ride, go camping, whatever. Like that's what the majority of people use these cars for, and that's the question is, can the Solterra do that too? And that's what we're kind of out to find out.
Yeah, the roads we're going on would be classified. You'd find them on your app on your phone as off-road trails, 4x4 trails, high clearance recommended. They're not extreme ones, obviously, right? They're old roads essentially, right? And I don't know how much, because the GoPro effect or the camera effect is going to neuter kind of how they look,
Right.
But they'll be sort of at like the everyday person's everyday kind of experience getting to those one step more remote trailheads where if you're looking on your cell phone trail app and someone says, oh, if you can drive that extra 5 miles to all the way to the trailhead, then that saves you that 5 mile hike in from the lower parking lot or something like that, right? It's just very much indicative of those kind of things. Or I mean, there was a person in an Outback camping kind of back where we're going today. When I went to scout it last week, there was a person that had driven their Outback up there. Not a wilderness edition, a normal Outback.
Well, and to be fair,
they're up there camping, right? So
this is in your neck of the woods, by Tasso's secret lair, and you've already pre-scouted it with the Forester.
Yeah.
So you already know, everywhere we're going, that this 2023 Forester is going, and that's.
Not a wilderness edition, a Forester Sport.
Forester.
Yeah. We didn't want to, fork out the extra money for the wilderness and didn't need it. Right. We wanted to maintain, for most of the time, it's my wife's, car that she drives to work, which is 25 miles of mountain driving, and then a little spurt down a highway kind of thing, right? So we wanted to maintain lower center of gravity, better handling, better icy, snowy road in the winter kind of commute characteristics, better mileage for these road trips and stuff like that. So. Not going for the big chunky whatever saves a lot of that performance and stuff like that. And I'm curious to drive the Solterra today on some of those same roads to see can it still do the sporty thing on the roads to get to the off-road roads.
Right. And I gotta say, again, I've not even logged a mile yet in this car, but it is a little bit more. I was thinking that the Solterra was going to feel pretty slow, kind of doggy. And it doesn't. Yeah. Now I haven't really explored it beyond that, but it was not. I was thinking it was going to be one of those like the golf cart where you just mat the gas and you wait for it to and it's that's not it. It actually feels quite normal. Yeah. For lack of a better term, which I was knowing that it's not one of these high power rated cars. I was not expecting that.
And when I showed up today and saw it for the first time, I noticed it has taller tires than the Forester and more sidewall. Both things will be good for off-road. Completely flat underfloor, which is great for ground clearance. I would guess that just eyeballing it probably has the same ground clearance as a Jeep Grand Cherokee, right?
Maybe.
Or something like that, right?
There's a period, not now, but there's a time when I think the Outback had a half-inch more ground clearance than the Jeep Grand Cherokee did.
And a lot of that comes down to how manufacturers, where they measure it. If the marketing guys can convince the engineering guys to say, measure it at the tube, not at the differential.
Well, and with the diff pump, it's a solid axle. It's does that...
But it is an advantage of having batteries and no diffs and a flat underfloor is that you don't have those points hanging down. The lowest point on the Forester seems to be one of the various cats that it has.
Right.
And it's pretty high still. It's pretty flat down there, but it's not quite as flat. So, I think it looks promising from an off-road perspective as well. Just kind of eyeballing it. The first thing I kind of looked at when I walked in was some of that stuff.
Yeah. So here's what I think I want to focus on for this, because as we're recording this is before we've done any of this.
Yeah.
So what I want to capture here, or what I want to talk about, is let's look into our crystal ball and guess as far as what we might run into, what might work well, what problems we might run into.
I would guess about halfway through we're going to get real anxious about range, but it's all going to be fine. It's going to be a great day.
You think it's going to be fine?
It's all going to be fine. It's going to be a great day. Cut to footage now. Us just torn shirt, hat holding what's left of our pants or something like that.
We got stuck.
Yeah. I don't know. Whatever. We'll figure it out.
I don't think it'll get stuck.
No, I don't think we're going anywhere hardcore enough to really get stuck.
Not unless we blow a tire or something, right?
Right. But like I said, it has pretty tall sidewalls. Yeah. This is a lot of these EVs are going with 22s and they got really, really narrow aspect ratio tires and stuff. I mean, that's not what this Solterra has.
It is the only thing I wish the Forester had to make it better off-road would be just slightly more sidewall. Yeah. If they went with, it's got an 18 or something like that for a wheel. And the wilderness is wildernesses even go down to a 17 to get a little bit more sidewall in the tire. That's, I think, its biggest hang up from an off-road perspective. Because I've driven it, through ruts where I'm hanging tires and stuff like that, and the traction control and X mode is going crazy trying to figure stuff out, and it's fine. The only thing that ever stresses me out, I think, today with either of these cars out there will be just a random sharp rock on a sidewall.
Sure. Sure.
So I think it's most likely to be our problem. Although I do think we're going to get real nervous in a couple hours about our range.
So like, to the range, like, and I noticed this, like, even today, coming off the charger, you're at full beans. What's really interesting, it tells you like 224 miles or whatever it said. Mm-hmm. Then you turn on the air conditioning, it goes down to 175.
Yeah.
Like, as soon as you hit the AC, like the climate control, like that range just whoosh.
I want to do this in full comfort too. I want this to picture like your family with like 2 toddlers that hate to be hot or cold or bored or engaged or hate everything.
I'm already getting anxiety.
Yeah, I'm
like,
gonna make sure
shit.
Viet is happy.
I'm like you're getting those kind of bombs, like, oh man. Well, it's like going up the hill. Like, one of the questions is, like, if we're going up steep hills, like, okay, well, the AC, like, that pulls on the battery, so that shortens the range. If you're going up these steep hills, how much does that reduce the range? Like, that's kind of where this wonder comes in. Yeah. And then, like, okay, now you're driving on dirt roads, which are a loose surface, and so maybe you have to use more power because the wheels are going to slip more, going to spin more. Does that chew up the range?
I don't know. I think we could probably get real weird in some, like, electrical physics too, and like how much electric motors draw at low speed versus high speed, and all sorts of stuff like that. It's and
that's a big reason. I'm super curious. Like, what is that actually like? Because I mean, if you're this is the thing with an EV in the mountains. Mm-hmm. Like, is if there's no charging location, like, you've got to be able to get in and get out.
Yeah.
You have.
And
like,
charging locations are all over the place, right? They're popping up. They're not gas stations yet. They will be, but they're not everywhere. Right. But they are more places than you think, even in small towns. Netherlands has one.
Right.
I think Central City has one, but I'm not sure. I meant to look at that before we came in, just to kind of have it as a talking point.
I'm sure Central City.
The point is, though, if you had those same fussy toddlers, if it was going to be bad enough not to have the AC going, it's even worse to have to sit there at a charger for a little bit.
It's not a little bit. This was interesting. So it was the Solterra was at 55% charged this morning when I plugged it in, and it took an hour and 15 minutes on a level 3 charger to get basically to it's limited to 90%, so it won't go to 100%. And that last 10%, like, it really throttles down the charging, so like that last 10% can take a long time. So there's, from what it sounds like, there's other reasons why you don't really want to go to 100% and all that sort of thing. But yeah, it was an hour and 15 minutes, like, to do basically a 40% charge, 35% charge.
This is
15 minutes.
I'm excited to give like real, like, consumer advice here, like real world. This is not some big fancy sponsored YouTube channels impression of what going out for a day wheeling trip with your buddies in a Solterra.
Well, and I mean, it's a Subaru. I want to see how close to a Subaru it actually is. Mm-hmm. Because, I mean, what we're doing today, what you did scouting, that's what so many people have a Subaru do with it. Mm-hmm. Can the Solterra do it? I mean, and if we go out and back, if we do a full-on day trip and we come back, like, you estimated 100 miles. So if we have 75 miles range left by the time we get back, like, so that
that's pretty impressive.
That would be like,
that'd be incredible.
Okay.
There's no reason not to get one at that point, other than your political affiliations.
Well, and I mean, I'm curious. Like, is that what we're going to find, or is it literally going to be something like the first measure that we have to, like, try and get home?
We're going to be on a flatbed.
Yeah.
Right. No, man.
That'd be all right.
I don't think so.
None of us own the car, so we can't break it.
Right.
No breaking.
We're not doing anything crazy.
It's not breaking. It just ran out of.
Well, so the first thing that we have is turning off the climate control. Like, we might come back and by the end of it just be, like, completely soaked.
God.
But, like, if we just run with no climate control, supposedly we have an extra 50 miles of range. So, like, we'll turn on the climate control going out, and if it just starts chewing up the battery and eating up the range, like, we're gonna have to, like.
Yeah, and it's worth saying it's like 99 degrees in Boulder right now.
Yeah.
Or getting there, not quite there yet today.
Super hot today. It's gonna be like, what, 97?
Yeah, but I mean, we'll probably get to 80 in the hills just with the elevation and stuff like that. So it won't be as bad. But But we're going to do this in ultimate comfort. I'll be sipping coffee
Yeah.
the whole time.
Yeah.
Listening to music.
Yeah.
Joking with my friends about stocks or whatever Subaru
There you go.
Outback owners.
Wait, are we
do and
just
stuff.
taking?
No, I'm bringing the Forester.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. On my own, no.
No, we haven't seen it.
No. You had alternate or fallout vehicle anxiety. So range anxiety and fallout anxiety. Oh, that's rough. Yeah.
It's going to be good.
Oh man.
I just
EV
like
life.
I
If
just
it
wanna
goes
see
bad,
if
if it goes
will-
bad, it's like an hour walk back to my house from where we are, so it'll be fine.
No worries.
I mean, we could just go downhill and just regenerate, right?
Well, yeah.
That's how science
should-
works. Yeah.
That seems like something. Seems like a thing. Take
I
that
don't know.
potential energy, turn it into kinetic. That should work.
Yeah, right.
Yep.
Yeah.
100% efficient as far as.
I really want to see other than the range, I want to see what the drive system works like.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Yeah, I want to put a tire in the air.
yeah, it should be at least decent, if not good.
Yeah.
Because
How do the motors work though?
I don't know. It's
Does
got to
it,
have a
like-
differential of some sort
Yeah, right.
in there.
so
right?
there's a motor that turns the differential, axles go out to the
Okay.
wheels.
So
And
it does.
So for its traction control, it's using the brakes,
Okay.
kind of like you would have on a standard car.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
But there's no connection between the front and the rear axle.
Okay.
There's the computer controls.
Yeah. So whereas like the Forester has 3 differentials, so at one point, if they're all in the air, it can really only drive one wheel,
Right.
unless the brakes are really going like crazy.
Right.
It could potentially do both. I don't know. We're gonna get up there and find out. Maybe
Well,
that's what.
So but that's the thing that the electric cars this is what they should be really good at
Mm-hmm.
is going off road where you have like 3 wheels in the air. Okay, well you lift a rear tire in the air so there's no traction. Yeah, you can apply the brake to that wheel in the air to still have some drive to the other side.
Yeah.
But like with an electric motor, the front axle it really should not care about that. Like it should be able to just pull the car forward.
Yeah.
Because that's all that motor sees is just those front 2 wheels.
Which is worth saying is where like your normal, like for your traction control and your, big fancy off-roader or lockers would come
Yeah.
in.
Yep.
And it's also a limitation for those cars though when it's snowy, because like your normal like proper whatever Land Cruiser, because it's what I had is what I'll talk about. When you have like a normal transfer case and you put it in 4-wheel drive, the front and back axles are locked together.
Yeah.
Which is why they tell you not to do it on high traction surfaces because you're gonna break something or your scrubber something has to release, and so hopefully it's the tires first,
yeah.
right?
If you're turning, those front and rear axles, they need to be able to spin at different speeds.
Which is in anything other than like the deepest snow where that becomes an advantage because all the tires are gonna spin or whatever.
Right.
On your normal snowy road, your normal I-70 ski traffic, your normal snowy morning commute, having 3 differentials all open allows for that even application of torque, and if one slips, then you're not completely blowing your balance out of the water kind of thing because it just slips that one. You're like, oh, okay, and kind of settle in. And
that's how Subaru's symmetrical all-wheel drive system works.
right, yeah, and which is why rally cars, other than a few real hardcore dudes that drive real hard, run with differentials in all 3 places. And what I'm saying is like Colin McRae famously like ran a spool in a center differential in his like Group A car or something like that, right? But
Sure.
Colin McRae is hardcore as hell, and driving on closed roads, and was super aggressive, so he made that work.
Right.
You're not Colin McRae just because
Right.
your transfer case having 4Runner doesn't have a differential in the middle. You're
Right.
just pushing through a snowy corner into the embankment on the outside.
To be fair, a lot of foreigners do have
An open center?
it's a torque biasing center differential that you can lock.
Yeah, whatever. I don't know. They're all hardcore as hell.
I have an 05 4Runner, and so if I put it in actually high or low range, I can lock the center diff. Now it's open front and rear diffs.
Yeah.
But I can lock the center diff.
You can throw technology at anything, I guess.
Well,
Make
but
it work.
that's that's what makes them capable. But that's the interesting thing with the electric, right? Because it doesn't need to do that. It should be able, kind of in a way, you have independently locked front and rear axles because they're completely separate. There's no engine turning to lock them. You don't have to deal with the fact the engine is always turning at a certain speed, and then the differentials are kind of this rubber band to try and adjust where that torque goes from one axle to the other. The electric motor can just kind of, it could do whatever it needs to do to actually make the car go where it needs to go, use the traction that it has. It should be really good at this.
Yeah.
The question is it?
Hopefully there's a good 30 seconds of usable clips in this where we're rambling right now, and we should just go drive the thing.
I think we should just go drive the thing.
Okay.
How do you drive an electric car?
Yeah.
PlayStation controller.
Yeah, like this.
Beep, boop, bop, bop, boop. Beep, boop, bop, 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 bop,
Yes. Yeah, you've been quiet. You've got some range anxiety.
I don't know shit about off-roading, so
Okay.
You do.
I don't know.
For a Honda guy, pulling into a curb cut is off-roading.
Oh, that's valid. That's valid because you're basically lifting a tire.
That's all I got.
It'll be a lot like pulling up to a car meet in your Civic or something.
Oh yeah.
It's like
Yeah,
a
you
mile.
gotta speed bump. Yeah, you gotta like
Sideways.
It's like imagine going through a mile of speed bumps in like curbs. Like
pulling
that's
off bumper
basically
covers. Yeah, side skirts. Just
But you don't have to worry
wherever.
about your tire popping or like getting stuck somewhere.
a
that
stance
there's-
guy also. So you are
Well,
worried
I'm
about
not.
it because you're
No,
using this
I'm not
much
a
of your
stance
tire.
guy.
Yeah.
I'm not a stance guy.
No.
Although my car
Jury's out. Yeah.
might look a little dumb.
Let's
It's like lower than any other car.
it
That's
is.
good. That's all right.
That's weird.
Well,
So Viet's for sure driving today.
okay.
Am I? Oh
Yep.
no.
Just a little bit at least.
You know what's gonna happen?
It'll be bad filming because
she's
one of
gonna
us will
roll
be doing
over.
it. It's just,
How did you roll the car?
You're just gonna do this and go-
The car was not even moving.
it'll be parked and you're just gonna go.
Yeah. Yes.
What?
Wasn't me.
Wasn't me. Oh, man.
VTEC, bro. VTEC kicked in and she couldn't hang.
Oh man.
Love it. I'm excited.
Oh man. Oh, low center of gravity. That's the other thing with the electric car. Like
Yeah.
all the weights at the bottom.
Yeah. I had it like 25 degrees side because X mode in the Forester gives you little inclinometers and stuff like
Okay.
that, like your hardcore old Toyota guys have.
Yeah.
But digital ones, and I was looking for like the most side angle I could get, like on the little swoops on the side of the trail and stuff like that.
Mhm.
So I got to like 25. We'll see. It still felt pretty good, pretty stable.
All right. All right. Honestly, I'm just like I'm dead curious now.
Yeah.
We've got the car.
Let's
We've
do
got
it.
the path. It's time for us to go. So, thanks for watching. Thanks for your support as always. We're doing this now. This could be the last. This could be the last podcast. You may never see the three of us
Exactly.
again.
Hopefully, there's another half to
Or-
this.
or- that's right.
Otherwise, I killed us.
It won't be.
Somehow Viet rolled
Yeah.
both cars, even though he was only driving one of them, and got us stuck in the wilderness for like the next 6 months. You might see us again with like a lot of beard and just like very very grizzled.
Amputated arms and legs.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, this could be the end.
This is what I look
Or-
like all the time. This is my natural state. I would look
Or-
exactly the same if I got stuck in the woods.
Yeah. Or we're going to be back in a couple of hours, and we'll have, hopefully, some fun tales to tell.
Or you will have driven a Forester home while a Solterra charges at my house.
Right? Yeah. Anything can happen. Literally anything can happen today.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we're in for. So,
That's what I'm in for.
that's right.
Yeah.
So thanks for watching. Stay tuned as always, and until next time, stay tuned. Well, no, I said that already. So thanks for watching. Thanks for your support as always, and until next time, stay tuned to Flatirons Tuning.
Cut the footage.
Cut the footage.
Cut the footage.
Sing clap. Thanks everyone for tuning in to the Flatirons Syndicate Motorsports Podcast. Once again, we'd like to let you know that your support is what makes this show possible. Be sure to check out our online store at flatirons.com for any of your aftermarket or OEM Subaru parts needs. And as always, stay tuned with Flatirons Tuning.